Chairman, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to come today and to speak about the science as it relates to Dicamba. I realize some of the information I'm going to cover, there are board members that have already seen some of this information. We have a new board member today, and there's also some individuals that have joined this board within the last year. So I am going to also cover some information that some board members have seen, but not every individual has seen on this board. As Mr. Hodges indicated earlier, according to the Arkansas Pesticide Use and Application Act, the regulations on page 4, it says, in issuing regulations, the State Plant Board shall give consideration to pertinent research findings and recommendations. And again, I'm here today to share with you the science as it relates to Dicamba and the research that we've conducted. I want to first begin today by telling you that the Dicamba system in the geography where I've spent a lot of my time over the last several years is very effective. It works. This is a research site that Dr. Tom Barber has over in Marion, and this is a PPO resistant site. You have a Valor application pre-emergence on the left. The center two rows we have Valor followed by Ingenia plus Roundup, and we see very good control of pigweed. And there's a very dense population of pigweed on this site, as well as the site that I have about 10 miles down the road in Crawfordsville. We'll look at that site here in a moment. I also want to just quickly take a look at XtendFlex cotton. And I'll list here as a potential option in XtendFlex cotton. We have Ingenia and XtendiMax that can be used pre-emergence in these. Anytime we recommend herbicides at planting in cotton, we always, as well as soybeans, we within the university recommend strong residuals. You've got options as Cotaran or Brake, those of you that are familiar with cotton. And we recommend about every 14 to 21 days a post-emergence application with a residual in the tank. And what I show here is the opportunity to really use an early season application of Ingenia and XtendiMax. And of course, in XtendFlex cotton, you could come back with a Roundup Liberty with various residuals. And I'll be the first to tell you there's a lot of options that a cotton farmer has in terms of how to make a system like this work. That's the XtendFlex system. I also want to make sure that everyone today is aware that there is another technology that's available in cotton. It's a very effective technology, and that is the Enlist cotton technology. I've spoken on the Enlist. I've spoken about the volatility research that we've done with 2,4-D over the last several years. And just basically a similar program here. Here I actually show that you could put Gramoxone at planting and some of the same residuals, but Enlist 1 plus Liberty could occur in this first application. Just the opportunity basically to provide a high level of weed control in these programs that I'm showing here. It's feasible that we can contain pigweed in northeast Arkansas as well as other areas of eastern Arkansas. I want to now turn back to soybeans and just mention some other technologies that are out there in addition to Xtend. This is the LibertyLink GT27 soybean. BASF is bringing that technology forward in addition with MS Technologies. And this is a technology we've looked at for several years now, and it is commercially available for 2019. It is performed very well in these environments in Crawfordsville. This is the site where I conduct some research, where you see a very heavy infestation of Palmer amaranth here. I would challenge anyone on farm to have populations as dense as what we have here. And the point that I'm making with this technology as well as some other technologies is there are effective weed control options that we have in soybean today. Now I want to show you this photograph because there's been some comments that's been made at times about systems and things that don't work. And this is actually a photograph that was taken in Clarkdale, Arkansas, that I took this photograph this past summer. And this is a cotton crop for which a pre-emergence herbicide was applied. And there was no post-emergence sprayed on that crop up until approximately 60 days after planting. 60 days after planting, and this grower here decides to come over the top with glufosinate, or Liberty, or Interline, some of the generics. And the only reason that I point this out is because I will tell you with certainty that glufosinate will not kill a 5-foot pigweed. This is not a program, folks, that's going to work. It's basically going to take what I was indicating earlier, overlaying residual herbicides. I don't care what herbicide we put in this system is going to break. The other thing that I want to drive home here is, regardless of whether this be glufosinate, Dicamba, or 2,4-D, this is a system that's going to break, and it's going to break rather quickly if we can't do a better job of managing our weeds. Now I want to take you back to what's happened over the last 18 years as it relates to Dicamba. And I appreciate the Arkansas State Plant Board sharing with me the Dicamba complaints from 2000 to 2018. And I want everyone to take note as you look at the y-axis. This is the year 2000, and you see out there 2014. Where are the Dicamba complaints? We've got 2 here, 2 here, 3, 6. The rest of those are 0. No Dicamba complaints. Were we not using Dicamba in Arkansas? Well, in 2003, we confirmed in Mississippi County the first glyphosate-resistant mare's tail. And pretty much from that point on, once mare's tail spread throughout eastern Arkansas, I would contend that most farms, not all, but most farms have Dicamba or have had Dicamba in their burn-down program. And with that, it's been very effective. We've had success with the Dicamba in the burn-down. That burn-down has been very early. Dr. Tom Barber's in the audience with us today, University of Arkansas Division of Ag, and this is what Tom had to say about the system. He said, historically, Dicamba has not caused many off-target movement issues when used for burn-down. However, new in-season use patterns in summer months for Dicamba crops have created problems, and I think that's the reason we're all here today. Extend cotton was introduced in 2015, and what you notice is you start to get to see an uptick of the complaints. Extend soybean, 2016, we go from 15 to 31. I'll be the first to tell you there were no Dicamba products that were labeled in Extend Flex cotton or Extend soybean in 2015, 2016. I recall, it's been about 2 years ago, we had a registrant that came into this meeting prior to 2017 and stated, we have had no issues up until this point, and there have been millions on millions on millions of acres that are sprayed, and that is a true statement. Millions of acres have been sprayed. And he said, we've seen no issues, and we expect no issues in the Extend Flex, Extend soybean cropping systems. Well, everyone is aware today we had issues in 2017. If we look back to the burn-down programs, our burn-down programs really are late February to early April. We're outside of the warm months with our burn-down. You know, if you take a look at the burn-down use rates, you take a look at soybean, or you take a look at corn, you take a look at grain sorghum, the use rates that we have in those crops are actually about half of what we have today in the Extend Flex system. And I think that's part of the problem. As you begin to increase use rates, you begin to increase the amount of material that you're having to contend with. We also know today that the pre-emergence rate in soybean as well as the pre-emergence rate in cotton is 4 times what we typically use in a burn-down application for controlling weeds. Okay? I think that possibly could be a contributor to what we're dealing with. But never before have we seen a single herbicide cause this number of complaints. 1,014 in 2017 and then 200 in 2018. The closest thing to that occurred in 2006. In 2006, we had off-target movement of 2,4-D in northeast Arkansas, and according to the Arkansas State Plant Board, there were 118 complaints that year. And the State Plant Board took action to correct that. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. Was an April the 15th cutoff successful in 2018? Well, you look at this and there's 200 complaints. One thing is certain, there was greater than a 5-fold reduction in the number of complaints in 2018. And actually, if you look at April the 15th, and you go forward, let's just say 2 weeks to May the 1st, there were only 4 complaints that were filed prior to May 1. So I would tell you today that 196 of these most likely are applications that occurred after the April 15th cutoff. The April 15th cutoff was very effective for those that followed the April 15th cutoff. There's the label. There's Extendamax. Ingenia. First week of November of this year. Just out of curiosity, anyone in this room, anyone read these labels? A few. I'm going to go through I'm not going to go through the labels. I'll tell you today, the labels are not starkly different than what they were. There's been some minute changes to the label. But I want to look at what other scientists are saying and to try to answer this question. Can vast acres of pigweed be sprayed while following this label? It was stated back last year. One registrant stated that over 91% of the complaints that they had investigated were label violations. I would contend, and I've said openly, that I'm convinced that this label cannot be followed and vast acres of pigweed sprayed. But what are other weed scientists? What have other weed scientists said? Bill Johnson, Purdue University, it says accounting for this is for the new label, accounting for conditions that allowed equipment traffic, the West Central Indiana would have had only 39 hours in June with wind speeds between 3 and 10 miles per hour between the legal application hours. How many acres of pigweed are we going to spray in a given month if we only have 39 hours to make a legal application? Can we get over vast acres legally without violating this label? Here's what Dr. Bob Hartzler had to say with Iowa State University. Restrictions related to wind speed, rainfall, and hours during the day when applications are allowed provide few hours that are appropriate for legal applications. The label changes from 2019 do little to reduce the risk of volatility, and experience indicates that volatilization has played a significant role in off-target movement and injury. What about a colleague close to home, Dr. Daniel Stevenson at the LSU Ag Center? He says, follow the label and spray on time is a very hard thing to do. We cannot get over vast acres without violating this label. But there's been a re-registration. Now my question, this is to the board. What's changed about Dicamba since 2017 and the 2018 growing season? Has there anything that's changed with this product? Do we have a new formulation? Is there anything that's going to indicate to us here today that what we've observed in 2017 and 2018 is going to be different? Has it been reformulated? Has something been actually added to the formulation or something that we can place in the tank that's going to reduce the off-target incidences that have occurred in the complaints, not only in Arkansas, but also nationwide? Everyone's aware, but in 2017, Dr. Bradley did a survey across the U.S. 3.6 million acres of soybeans were damaged in 2017. Now I want to quickly look at some of the problems.